with the weather because we do have the forecasters are starting to increase their concern about Friday afternoon. Not one of these severe weather outbreaks, unless they change that forecast and upgrade it a little bit more to those conditions. But we're going to have to keep an eye on things for the next few hours and see how those forecasts shape up because we'll be in the 70s, unusually warm, and then a pattern shift, and there's always turbulent weather in between. If we don't get storms, and really this looks like more of a Mississippi, Northwest Alabama story in terms of the severe threat. We're due for probably in excess of 2 inches of rain Friday night into Saturday. So it's going to be soggy. It was just kind of dank and misty all day today. Just man, you don't. January always is kind of a dull month anyway. Then you get all this gray weather, but we'll deal with it one weather system at a time. And so there's a heads up for Friday. All right, so we're still like yesterday bouncing between two major stories. One is this Venezuelan raid, all the repercussions from it, and what it means on the world stage. Still, just I can't read enough about how it went down. There've been some new revelations today, but then this fraud and ripoff thing out of Minnesota, just boy, it went to different levels today. And as I mentioned earlier, California is now there's a possible student loan scandal with fake loan applications and fake students in California that has spun out of control. Ohio, uh, there's an organization in Cincinnati that apparently was running one of these allegedly fake daycares, and the ambassador from Somalia to the UN apparently is part of that operation. Hello. Uh, and I don't even want to. Anyway, so here's the new stuff. So the guy that really broke, he didn't break the story because there have been people onto this for months. We heard about this when Tim Walz was running for VP, but it was hard to prove, and it just seemed like in a political year, everybody's cynicism about any kind of negative accusation is at a high, and it just didn't stick. Um, but then this is what's his name? Nick Shirley, is that the kid's name? I've been kind
Yes.
of lately. He puts out this video, this series of videos from just being a 23-year-old and going to the scene and checking around, just doing the basic shoe leather of just basic reporting to the public about what's going on. And it blew up in the last few weeks where now Tim Walz has stepped down. I think he's going to get kicked out of office. It is called in the feds because the imagery of a stupid vinyl banner on a wall of a fake daycare center called the Quality Leering Center. They can't even spell. They put up this banner. Nobody noticed it. They put up this banner and then still got $2 or $3 million that the government just handed out. Uh, that the imagery, you got to put a visual on this stuff. And he just went around and knocked on doors and asked questions. Just pretty basic stuff. And it has exploded this story to where it's cascading all over the country. Now he's got a part two coming, and I think it's coming out tomorrow. I don't even know what format he uses. I didn't even watch the whole video that he put out before because, again, I was gone during the holidays and wasn't paying attention to the news. But this kid, again, just he's not even being vitriolic or partisan. He's just uncovering stuff we need to know as citizens and taxpayers. Whistleblowers have been ignored. People have been threatened. Um, it's a giant mess out there. So here's a soundbite where he was talking to a guy named David somebody. And this just popped up a few minutes ago. There's another angle to this. So you had the fake autism claims, the fake daycares, the fake, schools, all these fake things, fake Medicaid claims. They were gaming every pot of money they could find, and the government was just ignoring it or participating. We don't know which yet. There's another one over what they believe were 1,200 medical transport companies. Minnesota's got 1,200 medical transport, I'm saying that with quotation companies, where Somalians own a lot of these things. Apparently, according to this, and we'll listen to it together. I haven't heard the whole clip. They did buy some vehicles with the money that they got, but the vehicles never moved. They watched these vehicles and kept surveillance on them for a year. They never moved. So they did just enough to fake it and then pocketed the cash. Here's what this young man is saying about this aspect. Maybe this is what the whole part two is about.
1,200 transportation companies inside of Minnesota. What's the need for that many transportation?
Well, there isn't. There isn't. You're talking about getting a ride. You already have services that are provided. You have Metro Mobility that offers free rides to seniors and low-income people. And so to have that many non-emergency medical transportation companies, it's not possible that they can transport that many people. I have been to many of these transportation companies, and I've been time-stamping my photographs for a whole year at one facility in Minneapolis, and those vans in that parking lot have not moved 1 inch in an entire year. They're all still sitting there.
And so when you think about it, you have, with the transportation companies, you have the adult care centers. So are they working hand in hand together to then say, we're getting the services from them, the adult daycare centers, to then transport them to their appointments?
So my feeling is this transportation deal is kind of the belly of the beast, because you also have these charter schools, and there's a school in North Minneapolis called Bonadier Academy. It's a K through 12 school. So that's K through 12. So that's 13 years, 13 classes, right? And they say they have 150 students. I found data that they have 136. So that's 10 people per class.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's getting at with that last part of that comment, but they just keep finding stuff. And some of these guys are covering their tracks like you. Who was the guy earlier in the week said, they came in and stole all of our papers. We have no papers. In other words, we can't prove it because we were ripped off. So I think even South Park did a take on this. It's crazy. All right, before I do anything else, let me tell you about Hueytown Pawn, where Tommy and Adam and the whole team over there, they got the guns for you. Hueytown Pawn, let me just kind of go back to the beginning when they first came on the show. They are a pawn shop. That's been their name for years, so they've just kept their name. But they've slowly become a gun store, because in that business, you deal with guns from time to time. So they slowly started adding new weapons, new brand names you're going to know and respect, a lot of Ruger products. They've got a brand of AR pistols and long guns. By the way, some of the new federal regulations affect those as well, that all changed this year. Incredible values on those. They bought a vault. I'm not exaggerating. They showed it to me the first time I went there, a vault full of sound suppressors. Here's how Tommy thinks. Man, when that tax comes off and the rules change, the market's going to go crazy for those. So he went and quietly snapped up everything he could find from the manufacturing community. And now there are shortages and runs on these things all over the country. They're hard to find. You can find them, but sometimes they're overpriced, or you can't find the model that you're looking for. Boy, they've got them at Hueytown Pawn if that's something you've been looking for. Hunting stuff, now that we're in hunting season, everything you would imagine, ammo, accessories. They're gunsmiths, so they can take care of things that you bring in. And because they have a pawn license, they got a nice pre-owned selection too. So if you haven't stopped by there in the last few months since they've been on the show, you got some downtime, swing on over to Hueytown and take a look, get to know them. You'll find it's a whole new resource and a whole different kind of place to go and make your gun selections. Hueytown Pawn over in, guess where? Anybody? Guess where? Hueytown on Brook Lane Drive. Hueytown Pawn. All right, here's Henry. Henry, what you got, man?
Here's Henry. Hey, I really appreciate you doing such a good job today. I got a brown nose a little bit.
Uh-oh.
You were really doing a good job today. I appreciate it big time.
Thank you.
I got to repeat that 3 times, and I'll have a genie. I make 3 wishes.
Or Beetlejuice will show up. Be careful.
Beetlejuice. Oh, crap. Hey, it's like a vengeance. It's a Jefferson vengeance. Not the Jefferson that got the cleaning store, the Jefferson that was the president. Since he went back, he went back to Somalia. Remember when reading about freeing the slaves, and the slaves were, of course, white people, that we were enslaved by the Somalians, and he had to send the leathernecks in. And we all know that story. I hope most in the audience do, why they were called the leathernecks. That's that stupid bush.
Well, those weren't necessarily Somalians. They were Muslims. It was really off the coast of Libya near Tripoli.
Yeah, and also Somalia. What I read, it wasn't called Somalia back then.
Right, exactly.
That
Yeah.
area wasn't Madagascar either. I think
They
that
were
was another
known as
place.
the Barbary pirates,
But yes,
and
sir.
they were
Yes, sir.
holding merchant ships. They take the whole crew hostage and try to kill them and try to get ransom from them. It's an old industry there. I mean, it's their economy.
It's still going on today.
Exactly.
It's
That
still,
would
it's still going
we
on
just made the
today.
Captain Phillips movie over the same concept.
Exactly, and it is. They are used to it's a culture of corruption. Now that doesn't mean all of them. Anytime, because I don't want to be called a white separatist or a white whatever that Walls was calling us. Anybody that wants to actually hold somebody accountable is called something.
Look, if
racist
they're
or-
calling you that stuff, if they put the word white in front of anything, you've already won the argument. They're out of. They
Yeah.
cannot argue policy, history, facts, science, economics. So they just throw race and invective in there, and it's just stupid. You got to call things for what they are. So say what you got to
or they
say.
tell you to shut up. They tell you to shut up, or they kick
No,
you
whatever.
off
Who
campus.
cares? Who cares?
Yeah, and I had someone. David Muir of ABC News. I'll bring this up again. He did an interview of Maduro, Kenneth Maduro. Is it Maduro? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, he did an interview with him, and Maduro, he is so full of himself, and David Muir is like drooling over this guy. I mean, you could tell David Muir is a pure-blooded communist, and that's what we're dealing with today: is communism versus capitalism. I wish people would quit arguing over the simple or picking at the little things. Anyway, Maduro goes, I don't know what they were talking about, but Maduro answers. He says, "Listen, because of the popular vote, and people need to remember this. This is why we don't have a popular vote that picks our president. Because of the popular vote, the Democrat Socialist Revolution could not be successful." And he was so proud of himself when he said that. And Muir, he's just smiling cheek to cheek like the Cheshire cat. And you could they slow their feelings out on their outward appearances. Unbelievable. You can tell what they're saying and thinking because they're saying it with their body language. And just like Walls was the other day when he was reading his little notes and he's practically crying to the camera about how he's not going to run for governor again.
Yeah.
It's all an act.
Well, look, Walls is just now receiving accountability. He thinks this move is going to get him out of it, and it won't. He tried to keep making that case today. It won't. He is in deep kimchi, and deservedly so. And again, the only person less talented than him on the national stage of late was Kamala Harris for picking him in the first place. I don't think she could have won, but he did not help that ticket. And that's what put him in the spotlight. I've heard this conversation repeatedly today. We wouldn't know anything about Tim Walz if it weren't for that election. And look, any governor, somebody brought this up today. I think maybe it was Walz that brought it up, and he's right. There's a huge welfare scandal trial going on over in Republican Mississippi right now, too. The trial just started today. There's a former wrestler, Ted DiBiase. Do you know anything about him, AJ? You're the big wrestling aficionado. Former wrestler Ted DiBiase, he's involved in it. He's on trial over there in Mississippi with a bunch of folks.
Oh, yeah.
And at one point, Brett Favre got caught up in some of that stuff where they were ripping off, a little dissimilar to this, not on the same scale, but they were ripping off the welfare system, promising to deliver services they didn't deliver.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of, if you remember back in, I think it was I'm sorry, I got a completely wrong date. It was 2022, I think it was. And they had to form a new extension to the Secret Service because there was so much fraud with the system of giving money to businesses to keep running, right? And anyway, they estimated that there was as much as a trillion, that's with a T, gone from the coffers of the United States government from these people that were ripping off the government. Now, the Secret Service caught about 300 billion of it, and then I never heard no more about it. So, they were catching up on a lot of these people. But 300 billion is a good amount of money for regular Americans, so-called, to get a hold of government cash money, right? And these fraud systems, How much of the $39 trillion that we owe now, that the American people, the hardworking middle class, what's left of it because of what the Democrats mostly have done to it. And I am tired of defending Republicans on this. They are just as guilty because they're not speaking up like we are on this phone.
100%. Hey, Henry, I got a boogie though, man. It's time for a break.
Well,
Good call. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for letting me get it off my chest.
There you go. That's what we're here for.
And that Ted DiBiase is the junior, not the senior. Because
was he the wrestler or was
well,
senior
they're both
wrestler?
wrestlers.
Okay.
The most people when you say Ted DiBiase, they're probably thinking about Dad.
The old school guy. Yeah.
But there's this junior who's in this.
Junior done ripped off the welfare system. Yeah, that's a scandal too. I'm as outraged about that as any of this other stuff. I mean, these are Americans ripping off their own state in Mississippi, it appears. Then we got foreigners ripping off the other states. I'm glad it's getting exposed. Sometimes these things domino. Whistleblowers encourage other whistleblowers, and the more we learn, the more we find out. There are people that work in these agencies that are seething and have been trying to raise alarm bells. Now's their chance. So they're coming out of the woodwork, and it's awesome. I used to have that experience when I was in television news. I'd do an investigative report, and the minute I busted something, phone would ring off the hook with other whistleblowers that want to get in on it because they know something too, and stories can just blossom, and I think that's what we're seeing. By the way, this just coming across, Michael Reagan, son of former President Ronald Reagan, has passed away. He used to have a radio show. I would listen to it on occasion way back in the day. Met him a couple of times. Don't see an age on him or why he passed away, but that story just crossing the headlines. We got to update you on some stuff going on in Iran, too. Well, it's like we're an international show in the last few days. Michelson Laser Vision bringing you the show tonight. Dr. Mark Michelson and Dr. Jennifer Michelson ready to help you see better with the miracle of LASIK. I can't overstate the fact that I really do believe this is a miracle procedure. It was for me. It changed everything, all the pain in the butt stuff that comes along with having glasses and contacts, and then you just can't beat being able to see 2015 all the time. That's better than 2020. And I'm still that way going on 7 years now. Michelson Laser Vision. Dr. Mark, the original pioneer, and then his daughter, Dr. Jennifer, 2 generations of doctors in that practice with an incredible team around them. One of the things I don't always mention is how efficient they are. Now, that's good for business, but they don't waste your time. You're not going to sit in the waiting room for a couple of hours and then sit back there on that butcher paper for another hour like you do at some doctor's offices. When you have a 2 o'clock, they got you back there quick. You're in and out. Even procedure day, I don't even think I was there an hour the day of the procedure. It's Michelson Laser Vision. Y'all say hey to all of them and get your appointment and find out if LASIK will work for you. You owe it to yourself to look into this. Michelson Laser Vision, downtown UAB Highlands, michelsonlaservision.com. 526. That's my buddies in cattle. We got some exciting news about them coming this year. Still working on it. I just found out about all this stuff last night. Details as the year rolls on, as we get going tonight. Danny Knowles is with the Knowles Group, Noles, the KnowlesGroup.com. Well, he is the Knowles Group. He and his other Knowleses, his sons. Man, these guys must be having a heyday right now. The markets just went nuts today. Another record on almost all the major indexes. They were record-setting numbers today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. They're not as concerned about the day-to-day stuff. All the exuberant stuff. People are checking their 401ks and feeling excited. That's good stuff. But there'll be down days. There'll be scary days. There'll be panic days. And you don't want to use your emotions as a guideline when it comes to your money. If you want it to be there when you need it to be there, you need to have the sound judgment of a strong financial advisor. And my recommendation is my lifelong friend, Danny Knowles with the Knowles Group, Noles, the KnowlesGroup.com. Y'all reach out to him, get together, see if it's a fit. It may not be. He's a straight shooter. He's a character. Always has been since we were kids. But I'm telling you, he's got an amazing track record, and he'll tell you what you need to hear. Not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear about your situation with your money. It's the KnowlesGroup.com, the KnowlesGroup.com. Okay, let me see. I keep an eye on Iran. I keep seeing these world reports coming in. It's getting to the wee morning hours over there. They've had 100 different cities fall into uprisings. One of the cities has fallen, apparently, according to some of the reports that are out there tonight. And I can't pronounce the name of the city. You want to try this, AJ? Abdanan. It's on the Iraq border. Now, we've stepped up our military presence on that border, too, and I think it's probably in an effort to give a go signal to these folks in the streets. There's some reports tonight that Tehran has fallen as well, that it's under the control of the rioters. And we did see video earlier today of some police officers in the streets at first clashing with the protesters and then taking off their uniforms and joining them. So I don't know where this is going. You get a sense of the domino theory would be liberty breaks out all over the world, and these people wrestle their storied ancient nation back from these thug mullah dictators that have been in control since 1979. That country was amazingly wealthy and rich. There'd be so much peace in the region if Iran didn't exist. And just think, the previous presidents tried to send them money and cash and play footsie with them and hang out and give them a Vermont teddy bear and be buddies. Trump knocks out their nuclear program with a precision strike 6 months ago. Now the people have had enough. Let's see what happens. This could be another huge, eventful story in the world. I'm optimistic, but we'll see where it goes. It's hard to trust any of the information coming out of Iran in any case, because there's a lot of online propaganda as well trying to keep this stuff going. Back in a minute, bottom of the hour, Leland Live. It's 5:34, Leland Live, talking to M5. Let's go, man. Last little home stretch before we get done for the day. Thomas is up next over at Stockton Mortgage. What's up, Thomas?
Hey, man, how are you doing this evening?
I'm quite well, my friend.
Hey, man, I wanted to tell you about a client that we had. A few years ago, rates were super low. They contacted us. They kept hearing us talk about saving money on credit card bills, and they contacted us. They said, "Hey, bought their house. They had bought their house at the lowest rates out there. They had like 2.3, 2 3/8 interest rate, man." And so I was like, well, that is a super low rate, and we want to try to preserve that if at all possible. So we looked at their situation, and we do have home equity lines available. And so it made sense. They were able to qualify. We got them a home equity line, so a second mortgage to be able to pay off that credit card debt. We closed them up. They had tons of equity. And so that's just another way we were able to create a solution for them and solve a problem that they had. They had high interest rate credit cards and some other debt that they wanted to be able to pull some money some equity out of their home to be able to pay off some debt, and then also do some work around the house. So we were able to get them that home equity line of credit to be able to solve the problem that they had. And we were able to save them about $600 per month on all that debt that they pay, plus give them future access to some additional funds. Because when you put a home equity line on your house, it's like we can give you a larger line than what you need, so that if you have future needs, like if you need $50,000 now, but we can get you a line for like $75,000, so you have an extra $25,000 that you have access to for the future if you need to use it in the future. So, that they were super excited. We got them closed up, and man, that's just another solution that we have available to our clients. So, give us a call. Let us sit down and see what kind of plan we can put together to save you money. Or if you're in the market to purchase a home, I know right now the spring's right around the corner. Can't believe I'm saying that since Christmas just passed. But, hey, give us a call, 205-859-8859 or savewithstockton.com.
Savewithstockton.com. Man, I appreciate you, Thomas. Thanks for checking in with us, buddy. All right, as we get the new year going, that's smart stuff. Use the leverage of your home. Use your own money to pay off your debt in a smarter way. Let them at least take a look. SaveWithStockton.com. Let me pivot back to the Iran story for just a minute, because I'm trying to make sense out of a lot of action. And I'll tell you, this is something that you don't need to fall into when you're scrolling online trying to figure stuff out. If you stop, y'all know how it is. You stop and read a story on a certain subject, and then you just keep getting it. For the last few days, I'll use X, for example, as a news feed. That's all I care about it. I'm just trying to monitor the headlines. I follow a lot of news outlets. I don't have a lot of personal stuff on there. It's just more about show prep, and it's a wonderful tool for that. It's real time. But like earlier in the week, I was getting diet tips on the benefits of red meat. And I read an article. There was a fascinating article. And then for about 3 hours, all I got was red meat stories. Health stories on cholesterol. I'm trying to watch the news. I'm trying to see what's happening in Venezuela, and it'll switch up. The point I'm making with that is, so I monitor an Iran story, and then I get this preponderance of stories about what's happening in Iran, and there's trash in there with the actual news, right? This is just how I look at these things as they come across. I'm having to filter in real time and put out what I think seems credible. There's a bias that gets created when you're online, because there's a tendency, we all have this tendency, when you keep seeing something repeated, it seems as if there must be something to it, right? So rather than check the sources and run down all the sources of this stuff, you just keep seeing stories. For example, what I'm talking about right now is I paused on a story about the United States moving massive military assets toward Iran, okay? And we know the uprisings are happening. I've reported on those a couple of times already in the show tonight. And some of these are from sources that might be legit, but here's one that doesn't look legit, and it looks just like a story I just saw. But because I looked at that, there are other stories popping up giving the appearance that we're making another military move to build up assets to pressure the overthrow of Iran. Now, why would that be fake? Because there are a lot of people from Iran on X right now wanting to believe that. And that further emboldens people in the streets of Iran. And hey, I'm okay with that. But you can't believe that these stories are legit until we've been able to source it. Now, here's one claiming to come from the Times of London. And I know that is a legitimate sort of mainstream source from Europe. And I'll just read you what they're reporting at this time. Let me click on that and see if that's actually on their actual page. It says the American military aircraft been amassing in Britain a fleet of 14 C-17 Globemasters. That's the ones we'll transport tanks and heavy equipment in, and 2 heavily armored AC-130J Ghost Rider gunships have landed at Royal Air Force bases in different parts of. We're moving these assets out of Europe, is what it's saying. The bottom line, and they're saying that they're carrying Black Hawk helicopters and some Chinooks, and it might be used by special forces somewhere in the Middle East. So lots of speculation going that Iran's could be next as far as United States military involvement. Look, we've already hit them once this year, or last year, I guess, by now. I'm just with a huge abundance of caution. I'll keep an eye on this. I think I'm using this as a sort of an object lesson for all of us, is don't get too hyped when you see stories coming at you in that speed until you get some validation from trusted sources. Then things start to look real. I want to be optimistic that I don't want us to get involved in a shooting war in Iran, but that these people in the streets feel that their courage is going to pay off, standing up to this murderous regime and freeing those people. Birmingham Broker bringing you the show tonight. They've got a shortage right now. Craig was telling me about this at the end of the year, and I reached back out to him, and indeed it's still the case. They need cars. They need inventory. What they're telling us, back to my old supply and demand argument from earlier in the show about a whole nother subject, there's a demand right now. There are a lot of buyers that are ready to make a move. Some of that, I think, is to do with interest rates, optimism of a new year, people just ready to trade. They've been sitting on their cars for too long, and they want to buy something pre-owned. Could be a good time to sell. Find out what yours is actually worth down at Birmingham Broker. They're not you can try to research this stuff yourself. They've got better tools. They understand what the markets really bear, what the customers want. I'm telling you what, when they can match you with a buyer that wants your specific vehicle, which sometimes they can, in a microscopic almost way, just transact that for you. That's when you really do get maximum value. Say they had people that wanted high-end, smaller SUVs very recently. Maybe Craig's got a customer down there saying, I need a blue Honda, whatever, and that's your car. You're going to get top dollar for it because you've got a perfect match. That's what they do day in and day out. They take the stress out of unloading a vehicle by doing the work for you and then giving you the option to just turn the car over for a few days, and you get a fat paycheck on the other end of their work. I know I'll never trade a different way again. Birmingham Broker will handle all my car deals. I mean, they just saved us thousands over what a dealership would have paid for a pre-owned car that we had. Mama had to upgrade to one with extra room and a third row seat. She needs a bus for a few more years, and they were able to really help us unload that previous car. Y'all, in the new year, if you're making any car trades, remember Birmingham Broker. You will, I promise you won't trade a different way again once you see how easy and lucrative this can be for you. It's bhambroker.com, bhambroker.com. Man, we are just dealing with all kinds of stuff. I've barely touched on Greenland, but Greenland's been much in the news as well today, with some saying that Trump would use the military to force control of Greenland. Marco Rubio is playing that down. It's just a big sheet of ice, but it's its strategic location on the world map that makes it so valuable to the United States. And they're not getting the protection that they need from Denmark. So the Trump administration is actively engaged in negotiations directly with the people of Greenland right now, with their leadership, to make a deal with them, not to invade them or raid them or obtain them in any way, but to, as Rubio put it, to buy them. I mean, we bought Alaska, and that is paid off in, it was once called a folly, And Alaska has been a good deal for us as a buffer against Russia, the natural resources. It's a beautiful state. This would be like Alaska East, but much bigger. There are lots of reasons why it's strategically of interest to the United States. But bigger than that, what's shaping up and what we're able to see right now is back to that Monroe Doctrine. We are kicking the commies out of our hemisphere. We're securing all the strategic access points and its resources for its people and trying to foster liberty and freedom for the countries they're in. First thing is to control these drug traffickers and the cartels. The second is to get the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians out of the mix. It could be a bold stroke if we've now neutralized Venezuela and then Iran falls, the mullahs in Iran fall to the people. That takes care of that problem. Putin's already in a box energy-wise and with his hands tied in Ukraine, and we're throwing the Chinese out right and left. We've already thrown them out of Panama. If you look at the world map, it starts to make sense. You can see what the crazy orange man's up to and his team. Secure the West. Go back to, we can't have Western civilization if we can't control the West. And this is not new. Kennedy did it. Cuban Missile Crisis. We had to confront the Soviets. They were trying to put nuclear weapons right off our coast in Cuba. The whole country came, both countries, the whole world came to a very tense moment during that crisis, and the Soviets backed down. We've had, it's been going over and over this week, Noriega in Panama, Grenada, that was another anti-commie operation. Even the whole Iran-Contra scandal with Oliver North was about fighting off the Sandinistas down in Nicaragua and the other countries where we have these kind of same issues. Central and South America are essential in this part of the world, and we need them to be free. Then it'll just be down to the Canadians. What are we going to do with Canada? They too nice to bomb, but and it's a beautiful country, but come on, Canada.
Yeah, well, I was wondering what happened with that because I thought, I mean, I don't know if he was saying that in jest, but I mean, it's like
we cut them off. I mean, we cut them off. And then Trudeau, their former leader, is now dating Katy Perry. And now we understand the meaning of the song, I Kissed a Girl. It really wasn't an actual girl. It was just somebody like Trudeau. I'm running out of steam right now. That's all I got. Lord, man, I love world chess, and we are playing it with this administration just in the last couple of 3 weeks. Alabama Gold Refinery, let's talk about gold. Let me check that price for you real quick. The spot price has been, with the market being on a tear, commodities themselves being largely in the news because, of course, oil is a commodity and traded just like gold on the futures markets. Let me look and see where gold wound up today. Yeah, up again a little bit. $4,510 at the close today, up about 1/3%. Continues in a steady track. It's always done that. You can go back to the biblical days and what gold was worth and make the extrapolations of value and see that it's still worth the same thing. In other words, it tracks against all the inflated prices of everything else. It's a material asset and has stayed that way for all this time. So go over to talk to Steve at Alabama Gold Refinery. Let them kind of educate you like he did me on how all this works. And then you've got a resource, a place to trade if you got cash and you want gold, if you got gold and you want cash, if you got gold and you want gold. Some people have scrap. They want to keep gold but keep it in a different form. Steve will get all that worked out for you in a smart, intelligent, and fair way in a secure location in Homewood across from the Regions Bank right there on 29th. It's AGR, AlabamaGoldRefinery.com, AlabamaGoldRefinery.com. All right, y'all, 551, leading live, talking 995. Let's go. All American Metals, let's talk. That is a wonderful place. If you've got a building project in mind this year, we all make plans at the first of the year. I know we've got some more construction to do this year ourselves, and you get in research mode. Just call All American. They'll help you and save you so much frustration and time because it's a fully integrated process. They're going to help you with design work, get you a stamped set of plans. You need those first. That comes before everything, so you can get it all laid out and surveyed and put where you want it and get all your approvals and zoning and all that stuff. Man, that was a headache for me. I did it the hard way. I tried to piecemeal the thing together, and I love my building, and I understand the value of steel more than ever. I can just tell you it's a great way to construct, and the place to get that done is All American. Get the plans, and then when you're ready to go, they're going to produce everything that's part of that package of that building. It's everything but the concrete. And then later, if you want to put in plumbing and electrical and all that, but it's the building itself. They're going to put that package together. They bend their own steel. They make their own framing in-house in their many factories all over the region, and they'll put that package together. When it shows up, it's going to fit. It's going to fit like Legos, and it goes up so quickly. When you're at that stage and the truck shows up, that building's erected before you know it, and you're inside, dried out. You got your stuff and can go. All American is a one-stop shop for that stuff. Great patriots, 2 families, been doing steel back to the 60s. They know their stuff, and there's no project too big for them. It's everything from pole barns and sheds and those kind of things all the way up to big, giant commercial warehouse projects. They can handle it. It's All American Metals. Y'all get the steel guys on the phone. You can get them at aa-metal.com. If you're a contractor, by the way, and you do this for a business, make them your supplier. You'll find they are faster, custom, and less expensive than their competitors because they're right here and they got control of their whole process. All American Metals over in the Bessemer Hueytown area, just in case you want to know. aa-metal.com, aa-metal.com. Lord, my brain is in so many different directions tonight because I'm obsessed of late in the last few minutes with whatever's happening with Iran. We got another story percolating. You just get a sense that all of this is happening with some coordination. The Saudis apparently are making a move on Yemen. Yemen is a pariah terror state and a proxy for the Iranians. What do the Saudis know that we don't know yet? Let me just explain what I think. If they've got advanced knowledge that the uprising in Iran is going to take place or is going to be effective, the United States is applying military pressure from the West in Iraq. Good time for Saudi to go ahead and secure the Yemen portion of this whole thing. Yemen is a sock puppet. It's the launch pad for a lot of the terrorism in the region, some of the ship bombings and other attacks on U.S. personnel, even in Iraq and in other places. So to me, that makes sense. If they're making their move, apparently they've sent drones over the palace and they're doing some other stuff tonight. And if these stories about America moving assets into the region are true, it could be about to go down in a big way in Iran. We may not have to fire a shot, but the world chessboard once again changes because we're taking care of our hemisphere and the Saudis and others are taking care of the pariah states in their hemisphere. These are times, it's not like World War II in terms of a war, but after World War II when all the maps got redrawn, stuff's moving around tonight.
So if we get Greenland, are we keeping the name Greenland? I know we had.
I say we change it because it's not green at all. It
Right.
should. Why did they call it
Should we
Greenland?
also tell Iceland? Should we tell Iceland to change their name to Greenland? And we change Iceland to Greenland, and then Greenland to Iceland.
Yeah, I don't know what we can do about
Yeah.
Iceland because they've already got the patent on the name or the copyright. So let's
I mean,
change.
just take
Greenland's just a big old snowy. If you look at it on the satellite, it's just a big. Let's call it White Land.
Oh God!
Just to piss the left off.
In the words of JD, I mess with JD. White Land.
White Land. And you got to pronounce it that way. We'll insist. Like all the LGBTQ were having us do pronouns. We're going to say, no. Say it right. I said Whiteland. No, Whiteland.
Whiteland. How would you spell it? WHIYTHE?
WHYYTE land. White land.
Oh, I could just see all the towns too.
I would love that
Blandville.
just to ignore Just to annoy the left, I would love that.
Oh God.
Trump land,
Trumpland. Flannelville.
Orange land. How about that?
Yeah.
Trump should do that out of just self-deprecation.
Yeah, we should like name some of the towns because you got to change because the towns in Greenland you can't even pronounce half of the names that
There's nobody there.
Yeah.
More people live in Dr. Pepperville.
See, there
Than
could be
in
an actual
Greenland.
town called Dr. Pepperville.
Yeah, I know this. I keep seeing the commercial.
Yeah. It's actually in Greenland. Formerly known as
Who
Greenland.
knew? Make that the capital, Dr. Pepperville. Let them sponsor it. Trump understands business. Let Dr. Pepper own the capital and call it
Yeah.
Dr. Pepperville. It'll be a real place. It'll give credibility to their stupid commercials that play 347 times when you're trying to watch a football game. And then the people of Greenland will once again be free to freeze to death. Yeah, I think there's only like 30 or 40,000 people that live there,
Oh God.
right on the edge.
And they all know each other.
And if you've ever gone to Europe or done an international flight, you've probably flown over it or very near it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the flights kind of go up over the northern Atlantic and cross that way, close to the North Pole. Well, not the North Pole, but in that direction. Greenland. What's their language there? Greenish? What do they speak? I don't even know. I got to know that. Live
It's
moment
gonna
on
be
the show.
American now.
American. They're gonna speak American, Southern American. I guess it's Dutch because they. I mean, okay. Let me see if I can get this pulled up. What language? I misspelled language. Okay, here you go, AJ.
Mhm.
Some food for thought. The official language of Greenland is Greenlandic Kalesut.
Okay.
Probably sounds like the Iceland language. They do all the. You ever heard somebody from Iceland talk?
Yeah, Bjork.
Bjork, they do clicks and stuff. It's like,
Mhm.
Guten Morgen. I mean, that's in their language. That's part of their alphabet. I'm not kidding. Look them up. Gutter Cap, bringing you the show tonight. With all this rain coming in on Friday, let me tell you, Gutter Cap is going to extend that 45% off their retail price. If you haven't cleaned all those leaves out from the fall, I mean, I think they're all done now. Get it done. Get this done. Take advantage of the price. You don't want any other system on your house. Let me repeat that. You do not want any other leaf system on your house. This is the one. It's patented, lifetime warranty, 45% off. Chris and the team know what they're doing. Gutter Cap of Birmingham. Y'all reach out to them of guttercapbirmingham.com. Guttercapbirmingham.com. Take advantage of that 45%. Let them get those gutters straightened out, get the leaves out of them. I don't know if they can get it done before Friday, but they're quick, and they'll get you taken care of. This is the system you want. Guttercapbirmingham.com. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Stay tuned for Breaking Bread.
Yes. Goodbye, AJ.